How we doing? Packed house. Karen, you responsible for all these people?
Probably.
How are you?
We noticed these blue workman shirts at everyone's locker yesterday, and Hunter Henry blamed you. Did you do it?
Yeah, I'm a gift giver. I like to give gifts. So, one thing I picked up, I thought Bubba Ventrone did that in Cleveland, and I thought that was a good looking shirt. So I got one in brown last year, but it looked better in blue. So we got the guys some of those shirts. I thought it'd be fun. I liked it. They liked it in Cleveland. So, it's kind of what it was.
If yesterday was Thursday, today being Friday, are there any sort of game updates heading into Thursday night game?
No, but we'll know after practice. We'll have a better idea. And again, I think that somehow guys progress after the game. So just kind of see where they are. We'll have a couple guys do a little bit more than maybe everybody else does, just to try to be able to evaluate, see what we have for the game, and then some of the guys that we didn't have available, we'll have to see something from them to make a quick decision. Again, this is the all hands on deck week and prepare as a starter. So, and we'll see where some of that shakes out.
Mike, how important was it for you to increase the overall team speed, especially on defense for this team?
Well, I think you just try to improve, and part of that is youth, part of that is speed, part of that is some of that skill, so size, and there's a lot of things that you look at when you try to build a roster, a team, try to get the best fit of players, and so we've been able to create some X plays offensively and defensively. Always it's speed and length and explosiveness. Those are good traits to have for defensive football players.
Mike, how did you guys determine to put Kirus at fullback? Was it a totally Dude's thing with you? Did he come to you guys?
Group effort. I would say that Kirus is, and I appreciate all you guys that do or have done reports on him or highlight him any possible way. But that's a guy that plays on three phases. Helped us win defensively, helped us win offensively, and then goes out there and stands in the way of three guys on a field goal protection unit. So anything that you can do to highlight those players like him, like Tonga on our football team, I'm all in favor for. So thank you for the ones that have done that. Just trying to look at the way that we are constructed, and we don't need a little bigger size in there and try to push the pile a little bit and get some movement. So, I think he does a nice job at it too. He's got a good feel for it. Helped us in the short yardage in Atlanta and then helped us last week. So, I know that if asked and called upon, he'll be willing to help us again.
Like Nick Saban, you said, on his team, he talked about not wanting them to drink the rat poison when they were getting hyped for being good. You guys have kind of avoided that, flown under the radar, but I think now there's probably kegs of rat poison nationally in the media. As a player and or coach, have you been able to sense when a team might be up for maybe a letdown, and then what can you do to avoid that?
I think those are always hard. That's human nature. We just have to stay consistent through our actions, and that quick turnaround. These guys were locked in, prepared. And it's there's times where I want to, pull the head coaching card out and stray away and kind of run around here slamming everything, yelling, and really haven't had to. Where you try to make up, fabricate some conflict. And yesterday they responded. They did everything we asked them to do. Recovery, preparation, the walkthrough practices, being able to run and get some of the soreness out of them. They bought into that. So those are all really positive things. We never want to, take the cheese and get into all that. And certainly there's a human element to it, But, when things are going good, you have to be able to prepare for things when they're not. And I think that we try to do that. We try to stay focused. so that we're not in any sort of like panic mode.
What do you think it is about the makeup of the team that allows them to be locked in and prepared and doing all the things you want them to do?
Well, I think it's the leadership. I think that the guys that we have here, I think it starts with the coaches being able to give them a clear message, and I think what the expectations are, and I think the consistency, they've appreciated that. For example, trying to just move the time back to give them some more rest, but not shorten the meetings. I said, hey, I can give up 25 minutes on Thursday in the squad, and they all were like, no, that's an important meeting. The leaders were like, that's an important meeting. We do the mental performance. We like the questions and all that. And I said, okay, then we'll figure out a way to make the schedule. But, I just used that as an example that it wasn't a setup question. It was like me just trying to find some extra time to give them in the meetings, but also, come in a little later. And, I appreciated that they thought that was an important part of their day as well. So I think it is just about the leadership.
Did you get a sense of that early, Mike, with this group, or is this kind of?
Well, so many new faces. I think it's hard in the spring. Nobody's really challenged, or we're just kind of learning each other. And then training camp, you kind of just focus on the day and the hour and the practice and the installation. And so then I think that grows. I think that's something that's built, and you have to put time into that.
Aaron Glenn and the Jets. What do you see?
I see a young, excited team that basically said, "Here, this is what we're going to do for our future, and we're not going to complain about it. We're not going to mope about it. We're going to play hard. We're going to use our speed. We're going to use Brees. We're going to use our return units that are sensational. We're going to play tough defense, and give them credit. A lot of teams or people could have been complaining and, hey, we got rid of one of the best defensive linemen in the league and a corner and everything else, and that didn't show up at all. And I saw an energy, I saw excitement that was that jumped off the screen. So this will be a challenge. I know they'll be ready to go on the road, and we'll have to continue to prepare and then ultimately play well.
Why did
I was just going to ask, what's it say to you when you have a locker room full of guys who believe whenever the time comes that their teammate will make the play?
Well, not only that, I think that there is confidence in each other, but also the excitement that they have when somebody else does make a play. I think that's really the sense of your character is, can you be excited for somebody else when they're out there making a play? And whether that's a receiver that's excited for another receiver, that's a defensive lineman that's excited for a defensive lineman when they get a sack. Just watching the end of our game, and people that I care about and people that I love and trust, they send me things that they see, and you get the whole sideline of offensive players that are cheering and up and into the game when it's fourth down or we get a stop. And those are things that are important to me that I showed the team that we can't lose sight of.
In light of the Jets being a team that's so committed to the run, how did you feel the defense did from an execution and communication standpoint against the run last week? I
appreciate the question, but that's last week. We'll have a huge challenge this week, and whether it's their scheme runs with the quarterback, whether it's Brees Hall, whether it's the under center, the gun runs, the pull schemes, the perimeter runs. So that's all that's going to matter this week is how we do those, and whatever scheme runs that they have coming up that we'll have to prepare for and tackle. And it's a game to game process in this league, whether statistically you're 1 or 32nd.
Jason is somebody who's been showing up this entire season. I think maybe wasn't on everybody's radar when you guys brought him in as a free agent. What did you see when you first signed him and compared to who he's grown as this season with this team?
Yeah, I think he was on our radar because we were targeting some players defensively. It felt like, Smitty came back with his review and I kind of came back with mine. I was like, all right, he plays hard. He's got some speed, and it looks like he tries to finish. And that's what jumped off the screen was the effort and the speed. And from the get go, I think the biggest thing that we loved is that his willingness to be on the punt team. I wanted to be on the punt team, and that's a huge unit to be on. So there's a lot of trust that's involved with that, and that's something that he quickly wanted to do, and it was important to him. So that meant a lot, and I think he's just taking advantage of opportunities, and love working with him. He cares, and excited that he can help us.
He plays a lot of snaps, and Apparel plays a lot of snaps at that position. Elijah had the big sack at the end of the game the other day. Is he somebody you could see maybe being more part of the rotation as the season goes on here, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to be conscious of how the play time and the effect that it has, and where these guys are physically, and making sure that we're working people in there that that earn the right to be in there, and we want a rotation and play a certain way. So we'll keep working guys in that we can.
Mike, follow up on the time of play on the offensive side of the ball. Just in general, when you see those position change, is that something that you see from the player on the practice squad, practice field, or you have some guys like in your mind that you want to test and see if that player has the potential to do that?
I think it's probably a vision. I think you're like, who can do this, and you go through and you end up with a couple names, and then it's process of elimination. So I think it's vision, and then just watching skill set, maybe how they play, and it's impressive. It's just on him real quick. It's just how quickly he gets out of his stance, and been able to get out in front of the running back. Sometimes fullbacks are a little slower, and they're out of phase with the runner, and the runner's running up their heels. So you just try to look and be creative and see where guys can help you. Thanks, guys.